Okay, let's go over your test. Only 6 of you here tonight. The married couple, she's supposed to have a baby the 1st of November, and this is the middle of October. And her sitting here for so long, I guess it killed her back. So they're on the live stream because she has the baby. Okay? But they're here a couple of days a week, and I'll see them and keep them informed, and they'll stream. Okay?
Oh, is she getting a baby now?
Huh?
Oh, is she gonna get a baby now?
We'll have a baby in November.
Oh, okay, so she's not coming anymore.
What?
We didn't understand what she's not coming anymore to class.
No, she'll video stream.
That's exciting.
Morgan. See, Tara is not here. Okay, Chief. Walter didn't put his name on his paper, but anyway. Okay, folks, let's look at these real quick. Don't need to spend a whole lot of time on them. The 10 steps of the accounting cycle, counting 10 points. And I didn't look at those real good. And as long as you got 10 and you had some of the steps and you had the last was supposed to close the trial balance, but somebody left a blank on one, and of course, the post-closing trial balance is the last step unless you put down the person entry. So that's 10 points. Okay, at the bottom, number 3 was 10 points. Somebody put down double answers. And okay, and somebody put the P and the CP like we did in class. We're not supposed to do that. Okay, but anyway, first one was B, cash payment. Second one was I, you purchase, and you have to have a person's name, the company's name that you purchased from. That's what it means by subsidiary.
The second was what?
Hi.
I read the time. I wrote I.
You got I?
Yeah, but you put me across.
Hold on to it a minute. I'll look at it, Carl. Number 3 was H, revenue, subsidiary posting. 4 was F, cash receipts, subsidiary posting. 5 was B, cash payment.
Well, that's chapter 1.
6 is B, cash payment. 7 was I think, purchase, subsidiary posting. 8 is B, 9 is G, and 10 is E. Okay, those are 10 points. And Carlos, do you have a question on yours?
Yes.
We had a 9 where?
Yes, sir. And I didn't check the others. I didn't check the others.
Yeah, you should have. I'm looking at it right now. Is that right there? That is an I too.
Yes.
Okay, add one back. And add one back to the 3.
And you put -1 in the 10?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you got closing entries as the last step. It's
No,
not.
that's here.
Number 10 is correct. I can see it. Number 10 is all right. All all of these statements, these adjustments should have been before the worksheet. These were all out of order. We just lost one. These are all out of order.
No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No, I know. You look at it in the book, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's not that up. We're not that old. We're not, what is it?
Well, this one, said B, but B is shut down, and this, I think it's the same as first, when I lost it. It's a, like, I told you that I don't
Which one have you used?
Here.
I didn't mark it on.
Oh, no. Okay, and then,
1, 2, 3, 4.
and then here,
That's not this.
and she got 10, but that was. I didn't have space, so it's a little messy.
Oh, I see what you did. See what I'm just talking. Yeah, I didn't see you went backwards, so go ahead and add those two back. That's my heart, get hard. Okay, now that is 20 points. Any more questions, or we're gonna forever leave them? All right, number 5. This will be it. Have one back.
Did you say it was supposed to be B?
Supposed to be E. Yeah, have one back. Yeah, okay. Somebody make big B's, somebody make little B's, and somebody make funny B's. Okay, are we ready to move on? Okay, the worksheet. The adjustments should have added up to 36. Now, I went around because I had to help a couple of you had so many questions and made sure everybody was getting the same answer and not give up. But anyway, 36 is the total for adjustments. Adjusted trial balance was 522. Net income was 64. And you should have had your totals there. Now, I believe Morgan had hers in pretty good shape. No, Morgan, you should have added 64 over here, maybe. It should have come out like this right here. Yeah, that's what it should come out. Let's see yours. You did yours correct, William. This way you did theirs correct. You didn't come out with the right totals there. You put that 64 over here. You add these up. Yeah. Here's what it should look like. Alright, neither one of you all had this the way it should be. Well, here's the way it should This one, this one. 3 points I can take off. I really don't want us to do it in one size.
10.
You'll have it just get 10.
I get a lot of jokes. Yeah.
Okay. We're glad we have faith.
Good balance.
It's still wrong. It should be a B. What does she have?
Not me.
Huh? All right. She put that in the cash payments jar.
What?
She got CP. Cash
Yes.
payment.
We have to write CP.
No, should have let I could have had it all hers wrong. Even what did that, I could have had it all hers wrong, but she didn't put down the land. So I had to read hers every bit. No, you don't have to say that. You had D, what was D? Purchase, and she had CP. Totally different angle. She had CP. What to do there?
What?
That's the way we did it in class. She was supposed to choose the letter.
Yeah, that's what you have.
Okay. Still did okay. All right. Net income statement then will be, the income statement will be 64, won't it?
Do it, that's fine. People need to
Huh?
do it, that's fine.
Carlos, wait till we finish the table. All right, 64 is the net income. Now, statement of owner's equity, what is that, 316? So what we got, 316, William? Then we go to a balance sheet. Some of you have these in a mess. I believe it's 254, right? 254 on the balance sheet. 354. Okay, let's see what yours looks like. Oh, mercy, what to do? You got 3 for no people on top. I didn't take off for your clothes. Is that your closing entry? Yeah, William, yours is in good shape. That's how it should be. All right, look over and see if I took off your closing entry. -5 for something. What was it? It was closing entry. I see it now. So I had those 5 back. Yeah, but that's on that balance sheet.
So I got mine, so it's
Here's what it should look like. Some people put it all the way down the left side. Really? What your balance sheet looks like. That's what it's supposed to look like. That's what it's supposed to look like. You've got it here now. 254. What's this over here? 354. Good. I'm oh, this will get your balance sheet come out. Balance sheet, let's see that balance sheet. What you want to do? Because you didn't make it down. You threw it away.
yeah.
Here's what
But I
you-
don't know why it was why it did.
I don't either. Why did it sit? Well, 2, 4. Good. 8. All right, first off, you left off. Accounts receivable 105.
No, yeah, I wrote this here. I did an error.
Oh, I see that. Then where'd you get that 187? Where'd you get this raise?
Just minus this.
No, that should have been this minus this. Look at the wrong one. Okay. All right, you see your test, and you didn't do bad. Some of you don't have the proper form. I didn't take off much for it. Yes, if you had Cengage brought up to date, you can add on 5. Now, some of you put that at the top of your paper, and some of you didn't. Well, got to see you at 5 more. That's okay.
You know what exactly it is going on. Sign up.
One night, number 10 should be a post-closing trial balance. Not the closing trial balance. There's adjusted trial balance, unadjusted trial balance, and there's post-closing. That's one. You don't have that optional worksheet up there. I can't spot it.
Optional new return worksheet.
You don't prefer adjusted trial balance because it's on your worksheet. And anyway, there's 2 or 3 things out right there. I don't whine about anything. Okay, man. Finish whining? What is she saying, Ellie?
She's saying that Arthur is not here, so she's like saying that there's no more. Because that's her boyfriend.
Oh, he is? I can't believe it.
The secondary couple in class.
That, you've got a German boyfriend?
Hey, you wrote the best title.
Okay, I'll get that. We did taxes last year for some people. I had this little Filipino lady. And anyway, she had to come up, need help her with some estimated taxes. Now she gets $36,000 a year alimony. Her ex-husband's a doctor out in Princeton somewhere, and she was talking about just asking my age and everything. I told her I was married. I showed her the picture. Well, she said, yeah, people in this country, they can go out and find somebody easy. She said, me at my age, I can't find nobody. So she said she was going, I asked her when she was going back to the Philippines to visit. She said in January. I said, won't you grab your man then? You know, bring him one back. She said, yeah, they would like that. They get to be a citizen of this country. But she was funny. Anyway, but she's, them and her husband, however, he married another woman. And anyway, I showed her the picture of my second wife. My first wife died of cancer for 13 years. And she asked how young she was. I said, well, she's 13 years younger than I am. Oh, that amazed her. I married somebody that much younger than me, you know. So, do you know what a cougar is? Millie, you know what a cougar is? What is it, Morgan?
But gets you nice looking older lady.
The older lady is a younger man. Makes her the cougar. So I told her to be a cougar. Get out there and find her a younger man.
Carlos.
I was like an older Filipino woman that's making good money all year long.
Sure.
She might be a little old for cars. Yeah. Carlos will find somebody pretty easy. All right, now you all that are going to be leaving in a minute, please study chapter 6 real well. Please watch the video. We're going to do a lot of practice in the night.
Do you maybe have we getting any sheets?
Any what?
Like those homework sheets that we do in class, that you usually give us?
Yeah, I don't have any handout
No?
tonight, so you're not going to miss those. You'll be back next week if I get it. It's mostly journal entries. But we will read this chapter, compare interest for buyer and seller. And later we'll look at the appendixes to compare interest for periodic and perpetual. But you won't have much on the next test from the appendix. All right, your next test will cover chapter 6 and 7. There's a few easy chapters coming up. The bank reconciliation for one thing. It will be an easy chapter. Methods of inventory or depreciation or accounts receivable and calculating simple interest. All that's coming up later. But what's important is these first two tests. And I think all of you, at least you can do a balance sheet. You know what you're supposed to do. Might not be in the best order, but you're getting into balance. And you know what goes on the income statement and owner's equity. Well, that was a lot of partners for some of you. The worksheet, you'll never see it again. Okay, it's gone, done for. Now, adjusted and closing interest stays with you throughout, no matter how much accounting you have to take. You need adjusted and closing interest. You need those three statements. So we've done that up through chapter 4, really, chapter 5. Chapter 5, I think, is a 5-9 chapter on those special journals. And they're not to write special journals anyway. There should be a sales journal instead of a revenue journal. The journal should have been in chapter 6. So we're going to work real hard on chapter 6 tonight. The time we have, a couple of hours. So please view that, videotape, and try to write me a couple-page summary of what happened tonight after you all leave. And your bus leaves at, your car leaves at what time, 5?
Yeah, they text us.
What will he pick you all up at?
Over there at the student center. Next to the student center on the parking lot. Probably.
Okay. John, Carlos, where do you have to get the bus at? Oh, is it right down there? Okay, the last one is at 5? It makes sense that it is, yeah. Okay. Well, we wouldn't want you to have to hitchhike home. Right. We wouldn't want you to have to hitchhike home. Have you ever heard the word hitchhike? Have you really?
No.
Either? You kidding? Okay, Morgan, tell them what hitchhike means.
Put your thumb up and thumb right from someone.
You get outside the road, put your thumb out, hope somebody stop and pick you up. Well, what's it called? Surgery.
Do you really want to know? It's hard. It's called stupidity.
What?
But that was my thought when you said that word. I was like, what?
Okay, go
But
on.
in mine, it's stupidity, like stop, and then add irati.
What would you do in Spain, Carlos, if you wanted to ride? If you wanted to bum a ride, what would you do?
I'll do stuff.
Huh?
I'll do stuff.
Okay,
I'll do stuff.
all right. Well, it's different, but anyway, yeah, I believe I will call that little Filipino lady. She left me her card. Have her come to me calls next week.
Yeah, maybe she can give him a.
Hey, she's got a new car. She gets a lot of money. A lot of money. We all hear a lot.
You can do her taxes over your government as well.
Carla, she is 3.5 times your age. Two of them. 3.5 times the rate. All right, I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and go. Make sure you get down there in time, you talk to us about it. I've seen that bus come down there before.
It's at 5. So there's 2 times.
I'm gonna let y'all go to make sure you have plenty of time. Is the student center open?
No.
So where are you gonna wait at when you get down there?
Well, he should be here now, I guess. And you can wait in the library.
I mean, if it rains,
Wait a minute, the bus picks him up down here.
Yeah.
The coach is gonna pick you up down here.
He's coming there. The parking lot over there. Like behind that building.
Behind the building.
Yeah. He said 4:30 and I'm planning to be.
Okay, I'll get texted. But now you're welcome to stay as long as you want. I'm not telling you have to go. I just don't want you to go.
Why don't you just go with us and drive with
Okay, now the code, you're going to North Carolina, right? You'll probably go out and get on Interstate 77 and go up to 81, or 77. All right. Why couldn't he give John a ride on the way home?
Yeah, he can.
John lives out that way too.
Yeah, we're gonna stop at the UC.
Oh, okay, just right home with the coach, John. It's Carlos.
Why, John?
I don't know. He looks like a John.
All right, John.
Millie, behave yourself
I'll try.
and keep her out of trouble down in North Carolina.
I don't know. Her boyfriend is out of town.
Oh, boy.
Can you tell me his result?
The what?
His test. Can you tell me the score?
Did you mean, did you say he left her his card?
No, she's asking what he got on the test.
Yes.
Because he asked her to ask.
Oh, what he got on the test. I'm not supposed to do that, but I guess I can. I understood you well up until the night. Have you lost your English? I had it there a minute ago. Okay. All right, he didn't have a grade on his test, but now if he did his sin gauge.
Yeah, he did.
If he did it, yeah, I'll add on 5. Okay. Now, please start working on sin gauge for chapter 6, okay?
Okay.
I did
Thank you.
chapter.
Thank you.
I'm almost done with chapter 6.
Okay, great. Bye, be careful. Good luck on tennis matches. Phew. Eve was just not as plain tonight as she was the other night, so I don't know why. Maybe it's my hearing, but she's dating Arthur. Arthur was from where now? I guess he's from Paris. Okay, France. The author is going on a tennis match. He's playing the top 8 players in the country in our division. So he'll at least be in the top 8 country. And hopefully does better. Hopefully does at least the top 3. So, and then the girls are going somewhere in North Carolina. The coach is taking them tonight. So forth. So, but he gets good tennis players. And when he gets good tennis players, he usually gets good students. Come over here. And most of them, for some reason or another, want to major in something in business. Many of them accounting. Some of them major in business, they want to take ideals back to their country. But now most international students I've had, they want to stay here. So, Georgie from the country of Georgia, I think he's already got some kind of green visa or something like that to stay in this country. I had Jacob from New Zealand, and He's working on a master's somewhere out west. He's dead in this country. So, one thing I found out about New Zealand is probably the cleanest country in the world. He says, you will not drive down a highway or walk down a path and see litter. Their people are just so proud of their country and its beauty, they do not litter. Yeah, I'll go up any holler in West Virginia.
Yeah.
You'll see everything thrown out but the old woman.
Pretty much.
In the yard. Same thing in Virginia. Out my way, I like to keep my yard, road, everything in front of it neat, but somehow or another, people like to ride by and throw out McDonald's bags and cups, and like to wring their neck. Okay? But anyway, don't litter. Bottom line. Okay, I guess we are broadcasting. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to PowerPoint that we never really did a whole lot with anyway on chapter 6. Now, as I go along on chapter 6 on PowerPoint, we're also going to practice some problems in the chapter, exercises. William, how far have you gotten with Cengage?
Completed chapter 5. I haven't started 6 yet.
Haven't started? Have you started, Morgan?
Started.
And how about you, Evan?
I haven't started 6.
Okay, start that as soon as possible, and hopefully you can finish it up. It will help you with some of these journal entries. Now, some of this I'm just going to skip over. I may have mentioned last week, I may not have. Now, if I put a question on the test about operating cycle, I'll give you examples of that if I do. If not, we're not going to worry about it. Now, one of the big things, and this one I can write on, is simply the big change is right here. We now buy the product to resell, and that's cost of goods sold. And then we get our operating expenses and income. Sales and fees earned are the same thing. They're revenue. They're the same. Okay, so we will have a new income statement. All right, and they mentioned those again. Sales is your revenue, cost of goods sold actually is your purchase price, usually, but we have to find that. And merchandise inventory will be an asset. When you walk in Walmart, you see a lot of merchandise, don't you? Rosie's used to be Kmart. If you go in Food City, you see a lot of merchandise. Okay? If you go in Lowe's, you see a lot of merchandise. These are retailers. Retailers are big business in our area. Now, it doesn't matter if you buy it for cash or accounts receivable. You just simply add it together and subtract cost of goods sold, and you get gross profit. Now, on your balance sheet, we'll gain. Now, this one, they're calling it a new thing this year. Last year's book and all books before, it was called Purchases, Returns, and Allowance. Well, we had sales returns and allowance. Now it's estimated returned inventory. All right. Down here we have customers' refunds payable. Would be a liability. If we owe somebody back money, they sent back damaged merchandise or what? Which cost of goods sold comes under an expense, delivery expense. So you don't have too many new terms. You've got a couple of assets, a liability, a couple of new expenses, and that's it. Now, there are two systems Now you should take a physical inventory, no matter what system you use. And I think one of you said you worked somewhere, maybe it was Morgan, somebody came in and did inventory for you all, right? Yeah. And where'd you say you work?
I used to be the general manager for Provision. I shut down the mall.
For who?
Provision. Eyeglasses.
Provision, okay. All right. Wonder why they shut down. Walmart put them out of business?
Anytime Fitness did the workout place.
Oh, really?
They took the whole end of the mall. We happened to be one of the stores.
Oh,
The cost of the new one somewhere else was greater
too
than
much.
they could afford.
Makes sense. All right. Most of our studying will be perpetual, because in days of computer, you can keep a perpetual count right up. Now, I worked at a grocery store. Now, what if you worked at Food City? That cash register is a computer. It's connected to a mainframe. All right? Let's say there's something on the shelf. Let's say Cheerios. And you have 20 boxes on the shelf. Well, that cash register keeps up with how many boxes of Cheerios you sold. And it knows if you got more in the warehouse. But bottom line, that cash register will kick out a reorder form to wherever Food City's warehouse is. I believe it's in Abington. If they don't have it in the warehouse in Abington, then they got to get it from the, some other distributor. But the computer is technically, all right, the cash register is connected to a mainframe that will automatically reorder merchandise. That way, some kind of sales clerk in Food City don't have to go around to every shelf every day reordering stuff. So damn. So cash registers are computers now. Much better than the day you had an old ad machine. You had to give people merchandise and add it up. And people can't calculate sales tax. I have been placed and bought merchandise where they have just an old cash register, real old one, and they don't know how to figure out the sales tax. Well, we'll be looking at sales tax before the night's over. First journal entry, very important. Just buy merchandise, buy cash or accounts receivable, or payable, an asset and a liability. Invoice, I'm not worried about that, but I am worried about the credit terms. Remember, 210 net 30 means you get a 2% discount if you pay within 10 days. Now, that means buyer or seller. Sales discount or purchase discount. You got to pay anyway at the end of 30 days. Now, example. Let's say you're in accounts payable and you get to take a 2% discount. How much is that, Evan? Huh? If you double it. All right, if you take that 2% discount, now Evan 2 2s is 4, so you know it had to be 4 something. Either 440 or 400. All right, 400 might be too much. Not 40, is it? Let's see now. A 10% discount would be 200. No, that's not 400. It's more like 40, isn't it? Morgan's working it out there. 40? Is it 400? It looked too big there for a minute. Yeah, 10% would be 2,000, not 200. All right. Now, You got to pay it anyway, here to here, and that's a 20-day period. Okay, you don't have the money on day 10 to take this discount and save $400. But now you can go to the bank and borrow it 19.6. Why would you only have to borrow 19.6? Because you're going to take the discount. All right, now the bank's going to charge you 12%. Do you know how to work simple interest? Principal times the rate times the time. Now we're going to use a rounded year. Can you work that out and put it in your calculator and tell me how much interest you'd be paying the bank? Evan, can you do simple interest? 2% of 19.6 multiplied by 20 over 360. Which is really, if you reduce that down, you can see that's 1 over 18.
2% is 392. You do
12% of 19.6 is how much?
390.
I divided by 18. $130.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I said divide by 18 because 20 over 360 reduces down to 1 over 18. But Evan, you could have multiplied by 20 and then divided by 360 if you want to do everything the long way, okay? All right, now, do you want to pay the bank 12% interest? It'll cost you $130, but you'll save $400. Do you want to pay $130 to save $400? Sure you would. So that 2% is awful powerful. 2%, 20 days into 360 is 18 periods times 2%. All right. You are saving 36% interest and paying out 12. You're saving 36%. So I say, take those discounts. And that's what they're called, purchases discount. Now here they show you an example. 2% of 3,000 is 60. But if you borrowed the money at the bank for 20 days, that's over 360. That'd only be $9.80. So would you pay out $9.80 to save 60? Of course you would. Okay. We record merchandise at net. 2%'s been taken out of there, okay? 60 has been taken out. And we pay at net within 10 days. 5 to 15 is 10 days. Now, if you lose that $60, where would you put it? You'd have to put $3,000 cash. And where would we put that other $60? Any idea? Well, here it is. Where do you put it? No, you don't. Where do you put the $60? Right. You add it back to merchandise inventory because that's what you're paying for. If you didn't take the discount, you paid that. So keep that in mind. Purchase returns and allowance. Now, if you send something back, debit accounts payable and credit inventory, you sent back $900. That's easy. You don't have the inventory anymore, credit it. You don't owe the accounts payable anymore, debit it. All right, these are just purchase entries. Then we paid it off. All right, we're going to stop right there for a minute. Turn to the end of your chapter. Exercise 7, I think. You all at home, practice this also. Once we settle in. Has anybody found the page yet for the exercise?
Yeah, which exercise did you say?
Well,
Which exercise did you say?
check out 7. Let me see if that's it. What we did. Now, those are. Okay, I want you to do 8. Do those 5 entries for number 8. Look in where you want to. So it is exercise 8 on page 323. And we're going to practice these purchase entries, and later we're going to practice sales entries, okay? Take 2 or 3 minutes.
First one, the first thing that you want to take credit. Today, it's like, but that's something interesting to talk about.
I think so.
So, first example of there, it's like, this difference. If it return on the same thing, so that will go down to less than 2% because what's going on with so I took 2% of 90,000 and subtracted it, so 2% of 90,000 was 1,800. So I took 90,000, subtracted 1,800, got 88,000. And then debited I did the earnings for 80,200. I ran it in chunks bigger than 80,000. How many months? I think this is what you're supposed to do. What did you get on the first one?
We got 58,200.
Okay, what did you do, William, on that first entry?
I debited,
Did you buy merchandise?
yeah, merchandise inventory, 88,200.
88,000, how much?
88,200.
That's net, right? Okay, it has to be net. Okay, let's see if I've got that. I got it right there, but it's overlapped. Hopefully you can see it. Hey, merchandise inventory, 90,000 minus 2%, 88.2, and credit accounts payable right company, 88.2. Morgan, how about the second entry?
I don't have it. Lost.
Evan, do you have it? What does the second entry say, Morgan?
Paid amount owed. It's gonna be the same.
It would be the same. And if you owe 88.2, what do you debit? 88.2, accounts payable. What do you credit if you pay it? Cash. That's easy. Evan, what's the third entry?
Discover that $18,000 of merchandise purchased in A was defective and returned items receiving credit for 70,640.
Now, why do we return it at 17,640? Because that 2% was in there, wasn't it? Okay.
So you take 2 away.
Yeah, you take that 2% away from 18. But now what are you going to debit? You may have not have gotten this for. What would you debit?
Accounts payable.
Did you get that for, William? What are you going to debit?
Accounts payable.
And credit?
Merchandise inventory.
Right. It's merchandise you don't have anymore. But now, hadn't we already paid for that?
Yes.
It'd been nice had we been able to debit cash and credit merchandise inventory. But the company may be a long way off. And we're just going to send it to them. We're going to have a funny balance in accounts payable. We're going to have a debit balance in accounts payable. Because they owe us 17,800 or 17,640. Now look at D part. What was D? Did you just buy more merchandise? Okay, D and A are the same thing. But now how about G? Are you getting your money? Huh?
He received a refund for return C less than the purchase in D.
All right, we bought some more from this same company. So they owed us back 17,640, right? But we bought 10 more. Now they owe us 7,640, don't they? So they're going to send us a check and we can debit cash and credit accounts payable. We don't owe them for this. We don't owe them for that 10. All right, that is some of your generic purchases entries. Now we got to cover some sales entries. I got to flip from PowerPoint to solution. Morgan, what scary movie do you think of for Halloween?
It.
What?
It.
It. How about you, William?
Usually watch.
Which one was Michael Myers in?
Oh.
I'm not a horror person.
I'm not either, but
Have you heard of Michael Myers, Evan? Was it Halloween 1 or 2 or I don't know which one.
there's a couple of them.
Anyway, Michael has already came ashore in Florida, destroying everything. But this year it's called a hurricane, not a movie. Okay? It's got 155 mile an hour winds. Whew. So Michael is around. I saw a funny cartoon. First off, William, what's something you've heard in the news lately?
I haven't kept up recently.
What? You haven't? Morgan, have you heard anything on the news? Oh, the judge being elected? What have you heard, Evan?
I've got a Kavanaugh
Okay.
that I don't really want to do.
There's probably been a lot in the news. But anyway, I saw a cartoon. It was Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And Hillary Clinton looked at Donald Trump and said, if you were my husband, I would give you poison in your glass to drink. Donald Trump looked at Hillary and said, if you were my wife, I'd drink it. All right. Anyway, they've both been in the news somewhat. The judge has been in the news. 58% of West Virginia wanted the judge confirmed. That made your Democrat senator from West Virginia, Joe Mancini, what's his name? Made him come out and support, the only Democrat to support the judge. So all that's been in the news, William. So, Morgan, did you watch the woman, Ford, and the judge testify? I did. She was believable, but yet I believe him too. So I don't know what happened. Okay, we'll get off that. Here's an example exercise. If they pay the invoice within the discount period, what is the amount of cash required for the payment? Now, didn't give an answer. So we're going to start with sales. Sales is your revenue. It's fees earned. It's interest income, whatever you want to call it. It's revenue. So get used to sales instead of fees earned. So we debit cash and credit sales. Now, it always takes two entries. You got to make one entry for the sales price, $1,800, right? You got to make another entry for what it cost you. Cost of goods sold, debit. Cost of merchandise sold, debit. And credit merchandise inventory. Takes two entries when you make a sale under perpetual system only. Now, Visa and MasterCard, same as cash. But now, how do you think a credit card company makes their money? Now, do you have a credit card, Morgan?
Yes.
You pay it off at the end of every month? So you pay interest? Oh, boy. William, you have a credit card? Evan?
Yeah.
You keep it paid up?
Not every month.
All right. You're paying that 18 to 29% interest. Don't pay a credit card is beneficial if you pay it up every month. You should try to do that. Best way to do that, don't charge anything on it, you pay it off.
Yeah.
Okay? That may be hard for you to do, depending on circumstances. But credit cards, they do make money off you, but they make money off the retailer. That's what this entry is all about. Now, small retailers pay up to 5%. If you pay $100 for an item, you put it on your MasterCard, the retailer may have to give MasterCard 5%. So he's only getting $95. Now, I believe it's Exxon. If you use cash, you get a better price on gas, right? Because if you use your credit card, they got to pay a fee. All right. Now, a big company like Walmart, they probably don't even have to pay 0.5% or 4%. Small companies pay up to 5%. So, what does this expense amount to? Debit credit card expense, $41.50, and credit cash. That's what you paid for using MasterCard, Visa, Discover, and American Express. All right, another sale, debit accounts receivable, credit sales, debit cost of merchandise sold. Now here is two generic entries. We're going to practice a few of those in a minute. Now, there's customer discounts just like there is purchases discount. It works the same way, the 2%, okay?
Mostly always in 2%.
That's a good question, Morgan. On a test, like Eva back there, in class we practice a transaction and put down P or CP or CR or G or revenue. She couldn't get away from that. That's what she studied. And on the test, I had letters A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I. But here's what she put on her test. And I had to look at them and see how many she matched correct. All right. So some people zero in on something. That's the way they always do it. So your question is, it can be 1%. It can be even up to 8%. If you get a big percent discount, you better take it. Because 8% times that 18 days will be 96% you're losing if you don't take it. So be careful. You read it. It may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. But now Eva back there, she always sees 2. And on a test, she may take 2% instead of 5 or 3. All right. Another generic entry, but we are recording sales at net. Net. We sold $18,000 worth. We're only going to collect $17,640. Now, why do companies offer this 210 net 30? They get their cash quicker. They don't have as many bad debts, and they want to take 2% of their accounts payable. All right, now here's just a payment. So far, you've only had a couple of entries. Now, refunds. Used to be called sales returns and allowance. Now it's called something else. It's called customers refunds payable. So if somebody brings something back to you, assume that on March, they paid Jones and Hunt a refund of $400 for damaged merchandise. They agreed to keep the merchandise and make any necessary repairs. So here, Jones and Hunt keeps it, but they're going to get a refund, aren't they? What if Jones, what if they don't? Assume they granted Blake and Son $900 against its outstanding accounts receivable. All right. I don't know what net. All right. Here, customers' refunds payable and credit their accounts receivable. Up here, you gave them cash, right? They're already paid, you send them back cash. Here, they haven't paid, you credit their accounts receivable. That's easy enough, right? Now, here, though, is a little bit different. I wanted to show you this one. You sold something for $3. They returned. Before, we kept it. Now we're going to return it. All right. Then how much do we owe them back? $3,000. But when they return that $3,000, we've got to put it back in inventory. So we debit merchandise inventory and we credit estimated returns payable. Now, some of these returns that places get back, they have it refurbished. Have you ever went into a refurbished store somewhere down around Pigeon Forge or somewhere? Now, do you know what Walmart does with their damaged merchandise? They sell it on pallets. Have you ever heard of pallet sales? Now, some of that merchandise, I've seen a lot of it, bought a couple of pieces of it, but some of that merchandise, it's barely damaged, or in some cases, it was just a return to Walmart. It would go in that pallet and it was never damaged. So everything returned to Walmart is not necessarily damaged. Somebody just didn't want it, didn't need it, and they take new stuff off the shelves if they think it's outdated. So, but my ex-wife bought one of those pallets. She may have bought a couple. We sold them, and I went with her to flea market to sell some of that stuff just to get rid of it. It was taking up my garage space. But you can get some pretty good stuff.
Put it on eBay.
Huh?
Put it on eBay.
Yeah, you can put it on eBay. So here is your cash refund, credit memorandum. I'm going to leave these up here. Now I want you to do exercise 9. Same page, next one down. What does it say, Morgan?
So merchandise for cash. First one.
All right, yeah. Now we're going to work in our break with this exercise. 10 after 5. So, next 15 minutes, take yourself a small break if you need to, and be working on that exercise. Okay, now we'll take a break.
See, credit says for any purchase of MasterCard. It didn't say the amount of the fees.
So you just, from on the internet, so
Yes.
It's a wonderful thing, you debit cash for that person or debit credit sales for that person, and then debit costing sales for the second number and debit.
Okay, have we had enough time? Hey, John. Tennis players are all gone tonight. You call it a night? No, that's fine. I just took a break. We didn't ready to start. So. He really is. He works hard. Okay, back to where we were. Whew. Well, Dr. Sneed, his complaint, he only had one, but we usually have 9. I'm back to where I was, I think. He only had one, and that guy already knew it, so he went through it fast. He's leaving. Told him I usually had 9, but 4 tennis players are out. And Carlos, if he'd had a ride, he probably could have stayed. And then the married couple. And I've never been pregnant, but I'm sure it's very uncomfortable to try to stay here 2.5 hours or so when she's due in November. So, but some can sit through it and some can't. I don't want her to be in class and have to run to the hospital, but we do have security that would help with situations like that. They have before. So anyway, so much for that. Okay, what's the first entry, William? You usually get the easy one.
I debited cash and credited sales for $116,300.
Well, I don't know how bad this thing is messed up. It's number what, 8 or 9? It's here somewhere.
Yeah, I think I see it.
7,640.
116,300. It's there about where E is.
Yeah, whoa. Really messed up. So you debit cash, right here it is. and credit sales, 116,300. Okay. What's the next one, Morgan?
Accounts receivable.
All right. Well, first off, William, did you make this second entry?
Yeah.
You did make cost of goods sold, debit, and credit inventory. All right. Now, the 116,300, was that net or gross?
Didn't say.
It just said 116,000. It must be at gross. You don't have to offer discount. So this is the one you made, Morgan. I think now we can see them. Your debit account, receivable, and credit sales. Did you make the other entry?
Yeah, debit cost of merchandise sold, credited merchandise inventory.
Okay, now that's your two generic entry, one for cash, one for accounts receivable. On a perpetual system, always make two entries. Evan, you have the third one.
Yeah, debited cash, 1,950,000, and credited sales for 1,950,000. Debited cost of merchandise sold for 1,250,000, credited inventory for 1,200,000.
Okay, just another cash sale. Okay. Did anybody have D? Debit what, William?
Debit cash and credit sales for 330,000, and then debit cost of merchandise sold and credit merchandise inventory 230,000.
Okay, was there an E? Was that credit card expense and credit cash? Now those were pretty easy generic entries on selling. But when there's a buyer, there's a seller. Everything has a reverse. Now, too bad we didn't get any discounts, sales discounts, but they work the same pretty much as purchase discount. Okay, now we're going to flip back to the PowerPoint and we're going to look at freight. Shipping point means the buyer owns the merchandise when it leaves the factory. The buyer will pay the freight. Okay? The buyer has it in his inventory. He pays insurance on it, the whole works. All right? When you pay freight, we put it in merchandise inventory. If you have to pay freight, just debit merchandise inventory because your merchandise costs that much more. You know, if you ordered something from the old Sears catalog or Finger Hut, Finger Nut, whatever it is, if you order anything, I guess if you order it from Amazon, you have to pay taxes on it, don't you? And sometimes shipping. But that's your total cost after taxes and shipping. A destination means the seller will pay the freight. All right? Destination means the seller will pay the freight. And he will debit delivery expense. Same entry here, accounts receivable and credit sales. Your generic entry there for cost of merchandise sold. And then he'll debit delivery expense. And that's just an expense on his income statement. Now here, this is also, you have to read these. Shipping point. That sounds like a phone ringing. Same entry here, debit accounts receivable and credit sales. Debit cost of merchandise sold. Now, the shipper is going to pay the freight, but it's not his freight. It's not supposed to be his bill. It's the buyer's bill. So he will bill the buyer with accounts receivable. If the shipper pays the freight, he'll debit accounts receivable and bill you. Now, in your book, please look at all these entries. There's 2 pages here of these, and I want you to specifically look at buyer, and seller, okay? Now, here, for example, the buyer just debits inventory, credits accounts payable. Seller has 2. Now, if this company pays the freight, they debit inventory, credit cash. The seller does nothing. So please look at those in your book. Good comparison. Now, you're going to have those on your next test. This page, study it well. Practice them on Cengage. Practice anything I give you from the chapter. Okay, tax. Now let's see if one of the 3 of you all can work this problem. It's 10,500. Sales tax is 5%. But now this 10,500 is the total. Now this happened to me when I was in public schools. The secretary called on me to help her. She had $10,500 in a little money bag for picture money. You know how they used to come around and take pictures in elementary or even high school. And she'd collected all this picture money. Well, she got to keep 40% of the sales, not the taxes. But she said, I don't know how much of that's sales and how much is taxes. Can you all take a minute and work that out and tell me how much is sales and how much is taxes? Break that 10.5 down into sales and taxes. Take a minute and do that. Write down a number. Write down a number, will you? How much did you get, William?
10,000 in sales, 500 tax.
You are right. Morgan, did you got it yet? What'd you get? Evan?
Yeah, I got it.
How'd you do that?
I just thought, what number was 5% of that? 1,500. I just started with 10,000. Right.
Okay. Of course, this represents 105%. Sales is 100%, taxes is 5. So what you were supposed to do, but you all figured it out some other way, you're supposed to divide that by 105%. That will give you sales of 10. And then 5% of that is the taxes of 500. Okay? Now, this taxes, we got to pay it to the state. We debit accounts receivable, credit sales, and credit sales tax payable. We send it in to Charleston, West Virginia when we collect it. All right? When you send enough of it into Charleston, you debit sales tax payable and credit cash. Payment for sales tax collected during August. And some of that comes back to Mercer County, McDowell County, wherever. Now, Mercer County gets their money from property taxes and percent of this sales tax back. They pay for sheriff department, some of the courts, and some of the health department, and so on. And probably even a lot on public schools and teachers. Now, Charleston, the capital, gets their money probably from state income tax is a big part, and some sales tax. Now, they supplement teachers' pay. They pay the governor, and they build roads. Some counties build roads. Now, the federal government pays for our military. They give grants to schools, interstate highways, and so forth. So each branch of government gets their taxes and they spend it on certain services, okay? Trade discounts. Now, if you see something advertised, $10,000 with 40% off, ignore that trade discount. You're going to buy this for $6,000. That's what your debit merchandise inventory for. $6,000. Ignore the 40%. That's just like going out and buying a new vehicle at the end of 2018. You'll get a $10,000 discount. That's not what you paid for the vehicle. If the vehicle costs $30,000 and you got a $5,000 discount, you only paid $25,000. You don't record the $5,000 at all. Here you don't record the $4,000 at all. All right, at the end of an accounting period, shrinkage. Now, you've got a computer, you kept up your inventory. When you sold something, you took it out. When you bought, purchased, you put it in, didn't you? It'd be nice. You went out there and counted 20 items and you had 20 on your computer. Then there's no shrinkage. But some inventory shrinks. You know that gasoline shrinks, it evaporates. And if you have certain products in a grocery store, they go bad, don't they? Bananas go bad. Other produce goes bad. Meats go bad. And so forth. That's shrinkage. But now your big reason for shrinkage is stealing. My customers, somebody shoplifted, that didn't get put in the computer, did it? Or an employee decided to take something home with him. I know when Kmart was at Claypool Hill, they were working a bunch of high school students. Those high school students got together, 4 or 5 of them, stole a whole lot of musical equipment, CDs and everything from Kmart, but they got caught. But that's employee pilfering. One little lady worked at that Kmart. She had 2 kids. She was a single mom. She worked to try to raise her kids. But she asked the manager, could she pick up all the Coca-Cola, Pepsi cans? So she'd go back in the employees' lounge and get all the aluminum cans, if there's any in the store. So she could sell those aluminum cans for a little bit of money. But the manager decided to check her little plastic bag one night. But besides all the cans she had in it, she had toys in it that she was stealing for her kids. Would that get her? No job. She still has 2 kids. So I don't know what she did. Okay. But he was doing her a favor. She was stealing from Kmart. Now, a lot of people, when you steal from Kmart, steal from Walmart, steal from Rose's, steal from Lowe's, what have you, people don't feel like they're stealing from a person. They're stealing from a name they don't know they own. But if it's mom and pop down on the corner, they won't steal maybe from them because they know them. So, but employee pilfering and shoplifting are 2 big things retailers lose money. And that's why they jack up the price and we pay the difference. Got to protect your merchandise if you ever have a merchandising business. So shrinkage, what do we do with it? Here's what we do with it. If we lost 1,800, we go out there and here's what we have in our ledger. Well, here's what we go out and count. when your little inventory takers come in. And here's what we do with it. We debit cost of merchandise sold, and we credit merchandise inventory. So we had a cost of merchandise sold, but we did not have a sale. Now, after you record that entry, your account matches what you can go out and put your hands on. Now, this happens in automotive parts stores, grocery stores, clothing stores. Same thing, just showing you an entry. Now, this one, we'll look at this later. That's allowance for bad debts. Reduces your sales account, your accounts receivable, that is. That's bad debts. And then we got to do one for a return. So here's your unadjusted balances: sales, cost of merchandise sold, estimated return inventory, customer refunds payable, estimated cost of merchandise returned, estimated percent of refunds, 1%. So net solution makes the following two adjusted entries. They debit sales and they credit customers' refunds payable. And here they estimate returned inventory and they credit cost of merchandise sold. This reduces your cost of merchandise sold. Now, I don't know why they want to debit this to sales. This is a new way of doing it. It don't look good to me. But we'll work with it. Now, we've got to do a multiple step income statement. You've always had revenue. You've always had operating expenses and income from operations. But here's a multiple step income statement somewhere. Selling expenses and administrative expenses, we can break those down. Now, other income would probably be from most likely interest. It could be rent or some kind of gain on selling assets. So here is what I wanted to get up to. Okay. Sales minus cost of goods sold is gross profit. Your expenses here now, before you just had a one-liner, operating expenses. Now we've got these expenses broken down into sales. Usually you can tell for sales, salary, advertising, store, delivery, that's selling. Administration has something to do with office, rent, depreciation office, insurance, office supplies. Now that gives you income from operation of $82,240. But we had rent revenue. Then we had interest expense. So our final net income is $80,400. So now we've got a more comprehensive income statement. And yeah, you may have an income statement on the next test. Okay. Now, a single step is pretty much what you've been doing. We don't really practice this that much. We won't have it on a test. It's all your revenue and all your expenses gives you net income, gives you the same answer. Statement of owner's equity has not changed. The balance sheet has not changed, except you've got the inventory and returned inventory, and you have no change here. customers' refunds payable. That's it. All right. That is it. So you have your inventory as an asset, and you have your returned inventory, you're counting as an asset, and as a liability, refunds payable. You know a payable is a liability. So your balance sheet hadn't changed much. Your equity statement, zero. Your income statement, quite a bit. Closing entries. All right, we've had them before. We always, on your test tonight, you debit revenue and you credit expenses. And you debit capital and you credit drawing. The only difference here is we had two revenues. We had rent. There's no change here. Now, you do have cost of goods sold here. And that's it. So basically, your closing entries have not changed for a merchandising business. Very little. And of course, here was the last step of your accounting cycle. You know that. Asset turnover is just assets, asset turnover, AT, sales by average total assets. That's beginning and ending divided by 2. This is beginning plus ending divided by 2. That gives your average total assets. Now, you like to turn your assets over as much as possible, sales and so on. But I'm not too concerned about ratios. Now, this is your appendix. Things change a little bit. Journal entries, you need to compare those with the perpetual. But on your income statement, you got to take beginning inventory plus purchases, gives you merchandise available, excuse me, minus ending inventory, gives you cost of merchandise sold. So that's your new setup, okay? Go to sneezing spell. All right, closing entries. They've changed a little bit. Your revenue and expenses. Now, freight and purchases would be an expense. You got to get rid of your ending inventory. And up here, you got to put in your beginning inventory with estimated returns and sales, purchase returns and allowance, purchase discounts, and rent revenue. Then all of your credits. And then, of course, your capital's still there. This entry is the same. Okay, drawing. Okay, that's a lot to think about. Now, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on the appendix. I will not give you entries on the periodic system. We will go over it quickly, but I will not give you entries. We will deal with the perpetual system. So please deal with the perpetual system in your chapter. All right. Now for next week, in addition to all you can do on Cengage, let's look at the end of your chapter. We must practice some of these exercises. There's a lot in this book, and Cengage just don't do it all. And we can practice a lot of these tonight, but I could leave a lot of people behind. At least we'll have 4 more present next week. Okay? And hopefully Miranda and I believe it's Chris, hopefully they keep up and do well. All right. Now, we looked at exercise 8 and 9. I think everybody should work those. Okay. I want you to do exercise 16. That's just sales tax. I want you to do exercise 19. That's the adjusted entry for inventory shrinkage. I want you to do exercise 25. That's a multiple step income statement. That won't hurt you too much to do that between now and next week. We will work nothing yet from the appendix. And I want you to try some transactions. I want you to try problem 3A. All right, now those exercises will help you with sales tax, the multiple step income statement, sales and purchase transaction. You'll be at home alone with your book, sitting there and looking back at examples, and that will help you learn this chapter. And please do Cengage. Now, let's flip over to exercise 13 real quick. Determine amounts paid on invoices. You bought merchandise for $14,000. The terms are FOB destination. The customer returns were $32.30. All right. Take the $14,000, subtract $32.50. $32.50, not $32.30. So do that with your calculator. All right, so you got to pay cash of how much on that one? 11,000 what? 11,750.
I got 10.
Now 10's good.
Okay.
All right, so that's what you have to pay. So just try to get you used to these. Okay, here's some more merchandise. 21.2. Now freight paid by the seller was $380 as FOB shipping point, and you had sent back 4,000. All right, 21.2 minus 4 is how much? All right, now we're assuming that the seller, well, the freight is paid by the seller. But if it's shipping point, do we have to pay that $380 or does the seller have to pay it? If it's shipping point, the buyer pays it. All right, it's already paid by him. Now that's when he debited accounts receivable and credit cash. He paid it for you. So you owe him that back. So add that on to whatever you just got. Okay, number C is easy, 900 from that amount. E is easy, nothing from 28.8. All right, give me an answer for D. Take a minute and work D. $7,500 minus 12 leaves us what, 63? Add 250 to it. You, how much?
6,500.
All right, that's just to get you acquainted with if the seller pays. Now, if it said seller paid, now if it said FOB destination, you would not have had to pay that 250 or 380. If it said destination, it means the seller has to pay it and don't get it back from you. But if the seller pays at his shipping point, he gets it back from you. All right, folks, that's all I'm going to go through tonight because a lot are out. It means we'll have to stay to 15 till 7 next week. Okay? I'm going to let you go tonight and quit live streaming, and hopefully we'll have most people back next week. It's a rainy, messy night out there. Morgan, do you not work anywhere now?
Yes, I work at McDonald's.
McDonald's, okay.
Hiring, I did a hiring training. Schedules, which are always fun for 60 people.